Hi, in today's business update, we'll be talking about this is reasoning for focusing primarily on their streaming services versus on making ensuring or maximizing the opportunity of generating maximum revenue for their films in the movie theater. In particular, the latest release of their MCU film Black Widow, which is so to say the least, it's not doing really well in the box office to the point that the star Miss Scarlett Johansson is suing the company for breach of agreement. So, what's the reason or rationale behind it? We'll take a closer look. Next is, guess again, it's Tesla again. In this case, it's something more serious, not just a typical software problem with the company with regards to their Tesla vehicle, but in this case, charging your Tesla vehicle for overnight can cause fire and has had a fire accident which even engulfed a whole house. Hopefully, thankfully, there were no injuries that occurred there. Third, we'll be talking about Amazon's push for using technology or cashless payment in their retail stores, in particular with the Whole Foods retail store. And finally, we'll be talking about issues with regards to the supply chain around the world. I think we've talked about this incident with what happened in the Suez Canal before, but now other shipping containers are dealing with natural disasters here, so stay tuned for that one. Anyway, so for our first story, as I mentioned, Disney has been in hot water recently. We're in the recent release of their MCU film, which is Black Widow, which is had a steep decline in their second week, and even to the point that Miss Johansson, as I mentioned earlier, is suing the company for allegedly that they had an agreement wherein they were supposed to release the film in the movie theaters first before releasing it in their streaming services at Disney Plus. But what happened here was it was simultaneously released in both platforms, which obviously in turn cannibalized their performance here. And obviously, I don't know where Disney is looking at this, but in terms of generating maximum revenue based on past performance, that at the end of the day, the movie theaters is always a big conduit for generating more revenue or maximum revenue for any movie theaters. Now, what's the reason behind here is let's take a closer look. So, what's interesting is that Miss Johansson is suing the company or the studio for as much as $50 million in lost possible earnings. Now, how she come about the 50 million mark now? Obviously, any MCU film is expected to do very well in as much as reaching hundreds or even $1 billion or even more, and based on performance related in the box office, she has a cut on the earnings. Let's assume 5 to 10%, so to speak. So if it's 5% out of a billion, that's roughly $50 million here. That's on top of her base salary here. Now, obviously, earning a significant slice is much more lucrative if you're betting on yourself that the film will do well. Well, that's not the case here. Now, is it because of the pandemic that's happening, that's continued to happen still, that's why movie attendances are down, or is it because of other factors? Now, as I mentioned, that uh, a question could be posed is because there's no one watching here. The opposite can be said the same regarding since there's not much film being shown for the masses. uh there is an opportunity to gain profit or revenue here. Now, based on their performance, as mentioned, based on the latest figures of this article, it mentions that there's a disappointing revenue of worldwide only 345 million, which is nowhere near close to where its budget is. I won't say budget, but it's aimed to surpass at least 500 million, which is even worse than how Fast and the Furious did, which they're doing well. And the main reason here why Disney has been pushing for the Disney Plus streaming platform is obviously to leverage their library, their platform to compete with the likes of Amazon, Peacock, Paramount, and even the giant of Netflix here. And they know that it was going to do terribly in the film, despite you know pushing the streaming services here. Well, based on the article, it does make sense if you think about it. Obviously, the streaming platform is still new compared to Netflix. If you look at the in terms of the years of being active in the in the market, so it makes sense for Disney to find every means possible to promote it. Now, one of the TV series that's very popular nowadays is The Mandalorian, but in terms of films, there's very few or new films that it's going to entice a lot of people to subscribe just for the sole fact of watching the respective films. Now, obviously, not only do you have to pay a subscription fee, a monthly fee to be able to use their services, you have to pay on top of it an additional $30, which is pretty much expensive. It would be much cheaper if you were to watch it in the movie theater, right? But so why are they intent on sabotaging their films performances here? So as mentioned, one of the main reasons, as mentioned in the article here, is that Disney wants a direct distribution model. Now, obviously, when they make films and distribute it, and the way they distribute it is by using the the movie theaters to release it to the masses here. Now, what's interesting here, how come movie studios haven't been in the realms of creating or making their own movie theaters so that they can control the distribution center here, but that's for another discussion. But the point here is there a way for them to cut out the middleman so that they can go directly to the moviegoers, which is what the streaming services affords them to do. Now, obviously, with the cinema distribution, the movie theaters earns a share of the box office, which is still considered with the amount that they generate is pretty small. So it's a beneficial mutual relationship for the movie studios and the movie makers, so that the moviegoers have the best experience in terms of being in a big theater with surround sound, with families, friends, with food, and all of the experience that typically goes when you watch a big movies. Now, obviously, with the change that's happened this year and based from last year, I think Disney has found it an opportunity to capitalize on it. So as I mentioned, so the distribution model is they want to be closer to their consumer, or in this case, the moviegoer. And it was mentioned that it could be a once in a lifetime opportunity that they want to take advantage, which I totally disagree, because at the end of the day, the streaming services makes it more harder for moviegoers to watch the films. Not everyone wants to subscribe to your platform solely to watch the film. I'd rather watch it, you know, at my discretion. And if you have a limited time release, it makes it more convincing for me to, maybe I need to watch it now, or rather than miss it. And others have seen it, or they like watching it, and then did you watch it, or what happened there? Anyway, so the key here is the supply chain that links between the movies, from the movie makers all the way to the movie watchers here. So Disney realized that selling through indirect distributors, aka cinema chains or DVD companies, with the likes of Apple, they consider it rather too far from their consumers, so they want to bridge that gap, or even cut the middleman, so to speak. So another reason that Disney is intent on pushing the streaming services here is, obviously, if you're subscribed to their platform, they can collect your information. Similar how Netflix gain substantial product in terms of offering what customer wants, what type of content, for what age demographic, and on and on. And I think Disney is enticed to get the same information, knowing that uh, it would trample the performance of their theatrical release in movie theaters. And obviously, there's going to be backlash, not just for their moviegoers as well as from their movie actors. Because if moving forward, if this is their plan, then if I'm, if I were an actor planning to partner with Disney, I'll think twice, and there has to be a stipulation if they were to break the agreement of initially releasing to movie theaters, then there has to be a severe penalty for them not following through. Anyway, so as mentioned, so the key here for the streaming of movies in their Disney Plus platform is to enable to be able to see who their audience is, because in movie theaters they, you can accumulate the amount, but you don't know what's the demographic profile. Is it majority male, female, is it young, teens, or even adults? So in this case, obviously, if you're subscribed, it's program specific to your profile, so it's easily tracked by the companies here. Who watches the film, when you prefer watching it, and how are you watching it? Is it you're watching it in your home, in your desktop, in your laptop, tablet, your mobile phone, whatever? And they can use and extrapolate that to leverage their marketing strategy here, which in turn another way is to they can adjust the pricing, because if they have sole control from production all the way to viewing opportunity, then they can experiment, adjust the product, which is kind of scary if you think about it, because at the end of the day, if it becomes a monopoly, so to speak, if they have too much control in all aspects, like how Apple is doing and Google is doing, controlling the ecosystem of the mobile as well as the software and hardware components here. This is can be kind of iffy if you're a consumer here, kind of scary. That's why, having the movie theaters as a means for a regular Joe or anyone who wants to watch a film, if they can afford it, not a very expensive endeavor. Let's say $10-20 in the United States. Here in the Philippines, could cost you around, used to be as low as $100 to 200, or even as much as $500 here. And obviously, control is, I think, the main objective what Disney is trying to leverage their product here. And obviously, selling directly to their consumers or moviegoers uh, not only gives you more information, but enables you to earn a substantial profit here, which is, I think, it's good if you're trying, if you're Disney. But at the end of the day, does it provide a better experience for your consumer? And the way they've been pushing the MCU films, the Star Wars films, not creating more original content that what they used to do. So it's kind of missing the point. They've been cashing in on known brands, but it's getting too stale after a while. Anyway, for my taste, I don't know for the rest, but the films that tend to do best, like in the case of their Avengers, I don't think they could replicate that anytime soon, because they've been building up the movie franchises all the way to the Avengers, but going after that, I don't think it's difficult, or would be a near impossible to replicate that performance anyhow. So, question here is, would they have to pay a stiff penalty for, with Miss Johansson's court case here? We'll have to wait and see. So, it's starting to make sense what Disney is trying to do there in the first place. Anyway, next we've been talking about Tesla for in last week's update, and now Tesla is in the news again regarding, it's not their software that's the main issue here, but more so when you're charging your Tesla vehicles here. Now, obviously, Tesla vehicles are electric powered, which is good. So, well, technically good. So you can deviate from fossil fuel, but how they accumulate those technologies is still, I would say, environmentally friendly. But either way, the point here is, one would think that it would be safe to be able to charge your vehicles. And in this case, if you're at your homes, if you were to plug it in, and their specialized Tesla charger, it would take normally 8 hours. So typically overnight charging would be required here. Now, if you use their supercharger, it would take less than that. I think around less than an hour or so. So in the case of here at businessinsider.com, a California's couple, Tesla, caught fire while charging overnight. So, it's kind of scary. That's why I'm very apprehensive in terms of adopting electric vehicles. Since in the case of smartphone, well, you've heard of the incident when the Samsung Note 10, I think. I forgot which model for the Note series, where it was new and then someone brought it in an airplane and then it caught fire. Now, obviously, no harm was done there, but in this case, a more severe one because the entire vehicle houses a large battery pack there, and when it caught fire, and it caused the house to go into a flame, and thankfully there was no one inside. But still, the dangers of owning an electric vehicle is still existing. So one cannot be too complacent here. Imagine if there were kids inside, the parents were inside. Anyway, so according to the article as mentioned, so they left it overnight charging. So it's not as if the owners were irresponsible, because you have to charge it overnight before it can fully recharge it. Because if you don't fully recharge your vehicle, then it limits the range of your vehicle. So let's say if you're going to the office or somewhere else, then if you don't top it off and then you're caught in the middle with, let's say, less than 10%, it's not as you can just go to a gas station and fill it up quickly. You have to look for a supercharger station, which is, there's tens of thousands already in the United States, but it's still not as convenient, as plentiful as compared to a gas stations worldwide, right? So the battery capacity and the range is still one of the main hurdles before I would even consider owning an electric vehicle here. Anyway, going back to the issue here, thank goodness, the owner, Yogi Vindam, uh hopefully they did not hopefully thankfully they did not live upstairs, where the vehicle was parked. They were staying at the back of the house when it was engulfed in flames. So what was interesting, the owners received a car alarm which woke them around 5 in the morning. And then when they saw the house was filled with smoke, so it caught fire. And what's interesting here, what worsened the situation is, it caught fire in one of the Tesla vehicles, the Model S, and then it ignited a second Tesla Model S, which create an explosion strong enough to blow off a garage door. So, so I mean, I'm laughing about it, but something so serious that sometimes we take it for granted that this technology is not yet fully developed, in the sense that it's not yet foolproof, that you can, compared to a combustible engine, you don't see any cases of them bursting in the flame unless there's an intention to do harm. And in this case, you're simply charging your vehicle, then typical to any devices that you need to charge. It has happened to me in previous past that I tend to forget that I'm charging something, and then I went to sleep, and then the next day I woke up, I see it's still charging. That there has to be a safety system that whatever the issue that happened there should be detected quickly. There should be a fail safe so that it does not ever happen again. And where's the update from Tesla that they're so proud of? They want to charge you tens of thousands of dollars for their full self-driving, and yet the safety features for their battery is very concerning if you think about it. So hopefully they can find out what went wrong here and rectify the situation, because it's even worse than you being in a car collision, so to speak, because the car is parked at home. There's supposed to be no danger posing to car ownership, but that's not the case here. So the main issue here was citing the car's thermal management system. So it's a software issue, not a hardware one. Could be an electrical system. So either way, so either the electrical system is not compatible or was not installed properly, or the car's thermal management system is not working properly. Either way, Tesla has a big responsibility to ensure that it's idiot proof, so to speak. so that if anyone were to use it or misuse it irresponsibly, it can still handle it. That's why you need fail-safe system with regards to this, especially we're talking of, a battery pack can catch on fire. And we were discussing, I think, last week regarding a tested battery pack that, is it a battery pack? I forgot what it's called. Where it caught fire, and it provides toxic fumes that they have to announce to citizens, neighborhoods nearby, to shut their windows so that they don't inhale those toxic fumes here. Anyway, so question here is, it's been an ongoing issue with regards to, if you want to own a Tesla, have been a number of repeating issues. It's not just yung car part issues, the braking system, and then now the issue of the full self-driving feature, that you have to pay an additional $10,000 just to be able to use those features. But the issue here is that the vehicle, is it safe to drive and to own? Now, is it an isolated one, or have there been other incidents that has not yet been reported yet, or doesn't been known to the public? Now, back in 2019, according to the NHTSA, or National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, they opened an investigation regarding a potential problem in their Model S as well as X batteries that could cause fire. So meaning, it's not the first time they heard of this issue already. And obviously, Tesla, Mr. Elon Musk, I know you're busy with SpaceX, but or with Tesla truck, you're trying to market your Tesla vehicles for the masses, which is good, making it more affordable, improving the technology. But that's why being in the automotive industry is not as easy as one would think, even if you have the technologies at your disposal, since with the likes of Tesla, Toyota, Ford, GM, who's been in the market, in the industry for several decades, or for some, more than 100 years already. And hopefully car makers are taking a look at what's happening with Tesla here, and trying to ensure that the safety is tantamount here. It's not just having these fancy features in your vehicle, but if it's not safe, I think I saw a video earlier today regarding, someone testing the call feature for the Tesla. Now, it looks dandy if you're trying to do it. Is that how lazy people is, that we have to call the vehicle? We can't even go to our cars. Now, parking it is a great feature. Autopilot in the highway, so it's less strenuous for the driver. But the other features, I don't know. Anyway, going back. So according to Hyundai, there was a recall of almost a little over 80,000 vehicles because of battery issues. Again, so it's not just Tesla that has this main issue that needs to be looked at and thoroughly vetted or checked in terms of quality control, so that things like this don't happen. Because this instance, there was no one harmed in the incident. But what if this were to happen, let's say, uh, when someone is driving, or in this case, if someone was staying at the house that the car was charging, or it could transfer to a different house, could be catastrophic. I can just imagine. So I think Tesla should be and I won't say guarded, but should be on high alert regards to how to address this issue quickly. Next is Amazon. Now, Amazon has been leveraging using technology to improve their operations with regards to not just in their warehouses, by relying on robotics, machine, or AI learning to faster the process of collecting parcels in warehouses, transferring, moving from one location to another, trying to replace human intervention, because they're dealing with a lot of problems in their workers. But not only that, in the retail stores, in this case, in Whole Foods, which is owned by Amazon, so they're trying to incorporate a self-checkout store in a sense, which they've already done before, right? But in this case, they're offering a new feature by using a palm print biometrics, which is kind of caught my attention, which is a sign of, it's a red flag for me. I don't know for the rest, because they're already collecting your data through your purchases online. Now they want to get your vital biometrics. it's kind of alarming because how safe is your information, right? Anyway, according to techtimes.com, Amazon One is using palm print biometrics that guarantees you a $10 promotional credit on self-checkouts. Wow, so your vital information, your palm print information is worth $10 for the company. That's a big bargain, right? If you think about it. Anyway, sorry. So if you look at it, uh, Amazon has one, oh, Amazon One has a palm print features that they're offering here right now. So it's a biometric reader, as you can see in the photo here, that you just have to swipe your hands or hover it so that it can recognize that individual. So when you make your purchase, it gives you a discount promotional credit of $10, which is, I don't think it's worth it, because using your either your credit card, an Amazon card, or any other type of card is more than sufficient. Why do I have to give my palm print here? If that's okay, why not just use retina scan so that they could see me, and then again, it's another way to gain information on their consumers here. But I digress. Anyway, so offering this is obviously is to provide more convenience for consumers, so that using this sophisticated, I won't say ingenious, but it's what it says here in the article, use of technology that no longer requires to bring physical plastic cards. But how heavy is a plastic card that you don't have to bring it anymore, right? I think in countries like in Japan, wherein their Metro card is used to be able to purchase other items as well. So it's similar to if you can find a universal card that can be used for payment, for transportation, in this case in Amazon's retail store as well. So do I really need to give my palm print or vital information here? Now, obviously, they're leveraging on expanding their venture, obviously, using technology to leverage, understand who your customers are and what their needs are, so they can replenish their products quickly and then in a timely fashion. So is the $10 promotion enough for you to subscribe to their feature here? Now, obviously, it promotes hands-free transaction, makes it easier. So rather than queue to a cashier, I think it's already been done in other countries. So why would I need to use a palm print to do that? So you could use a card, or let's say a chip inside a card to do that. Well, I'm somewhat apprehensive because with the likes of Google and Apple's getting our information, even Facebook, Instagram, right, and even YouTube, getting our informations, every corner that we access the internet. In this case, even Amazon is doing the same here. So is it convenient? Yes. Is it safe? That's the main question here. And how big of a deal is this? Well, if you're in the EU, well, they've been faced with illegal data collection lawsuit. So that's something to keep an eye on, because if there's no one watching them, they'll just continue do whatever they want. They'll continue collecting your data, just like how Facebook is doing, whether you like it or not. When you're using their Oculus product, if you don't subscribe to their agreement, you're not allowed to use the Oculus. That's why I never bothered buying an Oculus headset. But Amazon is promising to keep this data safe and secure. But again, what's the guarantee here? Is there any penalty if they were to violate the trust of their consumers here? Just like Facebook, right? Obviously, they're selling those informations to third-party companies to sell you their products as well. So if they're going to take our information, might as well monetize it, right? You pay us to get our information, rather than we pay you to buy your product and then you sell it to other companies here. Anyway, next we have the crisis. So finally, as I mentioned, so we were talking about the recent incident in the Suez Canal before, where a ship got stuck in the middle where the Suez Canal, and it got stuck for several days or weeks, I think. And here in CNBC.com, the article mentions that another shipping crisis strikes, threatening delays to Black Friday shopping. So another incident can arise, but this is not man-made, but more so from recent floods in Europe as well in China. Now we're already dealing with the strained global supply chain worldwide, based because of the pandemic is still ravaging. Now, in particular in Western Europe as well in China's Henan province, a key transport hub of home, several major businesses or manufacturers here are dealing with the aftermath of the devastating floods here. So obviously, with catastrophe like this one, as you can see in the photo, it damages roads, railways, and cuts off the deliveries from their goods and services to different regions in different parts of the world. So in particular, the tech business, in particular PC, smartphones, obviously it needs a lot of component, and if one component is missing, it delays the production and it halts the production, and it's very untimely here. Now, according to Panwa Joshi, an executive vice president for supply chain software firm E2 Open, he stated that consumer electronics, dorm room furniture, clothing, and appliances will all continue to be in short supply as back to school shopping starts out. Obviously, many schools are reopening now. It's after the summer break, and it will have a trickle effect all the way to the holiday coming later this year. So question is, what do companies do with regards to this one? So obviously you have to really anticipate ahead of time, or you have to either like what Apple did, which is, it's a great strategy by booking ahead of time, by being in the first in line to get the orders. But it's not always a guarantee. As again, if you're Apple, you're ordering the tens of millions of not tens of millions of chipsets to sell for their smartphones or their laptops or whatever devices that they're using. If you're first in line and if you order in bulk more than the other players, then you'll be able to withstand the shortage here. But the question here, there are other products that are in demand as well, whether it's for medical, technological base. So the issue here is, how will this pan out in the future? So the worst hit industries are in particular the automotive. Obviously, many vehicles now are relying more on computer devices, dashboards, which is, I like the feature, but that's why I'm too apprehensive of using a Tesla vehicle, because if something were to go wrong with their dashboard system, your car is useless already. You can't even use it. Can you even turn on your aircon, your audio, and so forth, right? That's why you need to have a balance of old school technology with latest technology here, not totally replacing, the entire experience here. And then you also have technology and electronics that are significantly affected. Obviously, technological base, batteries, chipsets, the CPUs, and then the GPUs, which still, very exorbitant prices. So, it's still being felt even after a year, when the pandemic started here. So in terms of auto production, it's still going to battle up. And in the case like in Germany, as well as in Netherlands, Luxembourg, and even in Belgium are expected to bear the brand. So obviously Germany has one of the major car manufacturers in the world. You have Volkswagen, Mercedes. Is it Mercedes? Yeah, I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Anyway, so it has a worldwide effect here, not just in Asia, but as well as in Europe here. Now, to pinpoint further, the disruption of copper is bad news also. So it's not just the chips that were in shortage here, but the copper that is used in many technological devices. And one of the main distributors for copper is in Henan province, which is a major copper production hub. So obviously, if there's a short supply, prices will drive up. And would this have a bottom line effect in the product itself that it's being integrated into? Other areas like in Europe, you have Oribis GmbH, a supplier also of high precision copper wires for electronics and electrical equipment sector. So it's in different regions that are being affected significantly, and even those companies have to declare force majeure on deliveries because of extensive flooding. So there's been delay, I mean cost, you know, and delays with what's happening here. So one has to deal with such things, and you know, you always hope for the best, that you know, you have the necessary sources to recoup. That's why you need inventories, you need to have contingencies in plan when do catastrophes like that do happen, or shortage in the supply chains. You are more than well prepared to continue your operation, because if you don't, then it would hurt your bottom line. Because if you're not doing well and others take advantage, then you know, you're losing out, or having that opportunity cost there. Anyway, so I think it's another episode for our business update. Thanks again for watching. Come back again on Wednesday for more business update. If you enjoy these types of content, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button to help support and grow the channel. Also, you can check out my other videos, business focus, like if you like watching live stream discussion also of other news. Anyway, as always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.